Hello, welcome back to KXAN Live. I'm your anchor, Esmeralda Zamora, and today we have our Tommy's travel forecast with meteorologist Tommy House. Tommy, thanks for joining us. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you? How was your weekend?
It was busy. I went to visit family, traveled,
That's
just got
nice.
back from my flight, and then came straight here. So
Whoa. Okay.
it's been busy. How have you been?
I'm good. It's been gorgeous weather here. It's been dry, sunshine, and no humidity this weekend. So no complaints on my end.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking a little bit about storm chances. We
Yep.
thought we were going to have those storm chances here in Central Texas last week, but completely blew over us.
Right
So
in the Austin
hopefully
Metro.
we get
Yeah.
them.
The rain dome goes strong sometimes, as they say.
Yes.
But yeah, expecting hopefully a little more widespread coverage here. We have a unique weather pattern that we haven't seen so far this year, which is actually going to be creating some heavy rain for some places for multiple days on end. So it's a bit of a slow weather pattern that's we're going to be discussing here. So looking forward to it.
And while I was reading your article, you mentioned something about an omega block. I've never heard of that before. What is that?
Yeah, so it's essentially this weather pattern where you have two low pressure systems and then a high pressure right in between. And these lows aren't really able to move. Typically with our jet stream, you have a pretty strong west to east flow. In this current setup right now, we have our first low pressure way out toward the four corners. You can see all of the heavy rainfall. There's some mountain snow there in the Rockies. Multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in New Mexico at this time. High pressure through the plains. So from North Dakota down to Austin, things have been nice. They've been dry, overall seasonable. And then to the East Coast, yesterday, the Kentucky Derby, they were racing in the mud and the heavy rain. And that heavy rain cloud cover is going to stick around for the Midwest, the Northeast, in the I-95 corridor for the next few days. With these omega blocking patterns, sometimes they can last for a few days, sometimes it's a week or two. It's really difficult to break the pattern. For us locally in Texas, that means more moisture and cloud cover and eventually some rain chances return here. But we got to enjoy the high pressure benefits of it. In this setup, typically the northern plains and Midwest has the best weather, but in this situation, like this weekend, we've had probably some of the best weather here in a while.
Yeah, for sure. So is this omega block going to be the reason for the storm chances we have tomorrow?
Yeah, eventually we'll see a lot more of, Gulf moisture work its way in. Here's the setup, of course, with the upper levels. There's the low pressures, the high in the middle, and the black jet stream lines that I drew around the low pressure systems. This goes out, as a matter of fact, 3 days. So let's just say through Wednesday. And I drew some arrows to represent kind of the dynamics of this. I know it's kind of hard to see. It blends in. You have coming in from the Gulf. I'm going to draw these arrows using a white color here. You have a lot of moisture. So that's mugginess, that's dew points in the 70s, cloud cover. At the same time, you also have a lot of moisture coming in from the Pacific Ocean over Mexico into western Texas. So you're getting two sources of available storm energy. At the same time, you have that low pressure that's way out west. You have a dry line that's through western Texas, and then eventually a cold front moving through. So as you can imagine, we're going to have a few different sources of heavy rain. The darker greens, that's potential for some localized flooding. That's anywhere from the Panhandle down through Texas, H-Town, DFW, up toward Amarillo. So what that means for us here locally in the 15 counties we keep an eye on, 80% rain chance Monday night. The difference between this setup and Friday is Friday we were talking about a cold front moving through, and the front moved through too soon, so we couldn't see any storms initiate over Austin. We think this is going to be a little bit more of a slower rainmaker, prolonged over 2 days or so. So, the drought that we're in, we need beneficial rain. May is one of the stormiest and rainiest seasons, so if the lakes can benefit from this, then that's a win in my opinion.
I wanted to ask you this. Me and Rich were talking about last week's storm chances and the cold front that you just mentioned. We had a viewer send a message in saying, I heard thunder, or I saw lightning, heard thunder, but no rain.
Yeah.
Why do you think that happened?
So Thursday, we had the dry line, right? Those dry lines are never widespread and consistent. We saw a few pop-up storms in Williamson, Burnett, Milam County. That brought the tornado. So we said 40 to 50% rain chance on Thursday. Of course, not everyone through the huge area that we cover was going to see rain then. And of course, that verified. We had hail that could fit in my hand like a softball. There were 2 confirmed tornadoes, one of them being an EF1. So Friday was a different setup. Friday was the cold front that moves through. Problem is, it's really hard to keep that same energy, kind of that same oomph factor, if you may, moving in from north to south over our area, our terrain. You add on top of that the timing of the front, the available moisture that's able to get squeezed out. Fayette County picked up 5 inches of rain on Friday, which is crazy because, we had about 15 severe storm warnings in our viewing area on Friday. It's not like it didn't rain at all. The problem is they all initiated around Austin. So, 99% of our viewing area is in this little Travis, Williamson, Hayes, I-35 corridor. We wish we could take that 5-inch fade and spread it out over everyone so we can all get some. Just didn't set up that way. Again, this is going to be a different sort of situation this week. We're not seeing the extreme severe weather potential, more widespread that we thought for Friday. Hopefully this is more just beneficial rain, although possibility for a few supercells. I'll get to that in just a second. Here's clouds and radar. I'm actually going to walk you through Monday. So you'll see by Monday that upper level low is still somewhere swirling out toward the Four Corners, and you still have that low pressure that's way up toward the Appalachians. Moving through the rest of Monday into Monday afternoon, the dry line could fire up a few storms here locally. I think our rain chances are going to be pretty scattered for the most part on Monday. I think I have a 60% rain chance for us locally here.
More than last week.
More than last week, right. Moving through the rest of Monday night, Tuesday, you'll notice that all of a sudden that low is going to start to move a little bit more to the north and east, and we're having this huge swath of heavy rain and thunderstorms, even some snow for the Rockies stretching through Oklahoma and Texas. So hopefully Monday night and Tuesday we see a little more action. And then, of course, the official line moving through Tuesday afternoon and evening. So Storm Prediction Center, as a matter of fact, for Monday has a level 2 out of 5. I'm focusing more on the rain coverage than the specific severe storm threats. With this particular setup, but still it's important to communicate it. Level 2 out of 5, that's going to be west of I-35, so out toward the hill country here. That's Gillespie, Mason, Llano, San Saba. On Tuesday, that shifts a little bit farther to the east, that it does include Austin itself. Excessive rainfall, localized flooding could be possible here. And then, of course, walking you through the rest of the day today, we'll see some wispy clouds, and we'll start off tomorrow morning. 10:15, a few scattered showers. Notice this isn't severe. This isn't widespread. Just bits and pieces of rain throughout the day and perhaps a thunderstorm or two Monday afternoon into the evening hours. This is where we could see severe weather, actually. Monday night into Tuesday. You see that thunderstorm out toward Fredericksburg?
Yep.
That's from the dry line. So those are kind of tough to see exactly where they could go, but notice how they kind of come in and fizzle out. And then Tuesday's a little more widespread, so still cloudy, not expecting sunshine Monday and Tuesday for the most part. We'll get our first burst of rain Tuesday morning, and then a final line. Could get some clearing, and then perhaps another, I'm going to go back a little bit. There's 6 p.m. Tuesday.
There's a little bit more of a chance for us.
A little bit more, right. So you'll notice that, we'll have a few rounds. So if, let's say you live in Burnett, and Burnett misses completely with rain on Monday night there's another round, Tuesday morning there's another round, Tuesday night. So long story short, you're looking at Texas here, big picture, and all of us have the possibility for some thunderstorms on Monday, all of us on Tuesday. And again, this is from that blocking pattern because it's a slow moving low pressure system, a lot of moisture that's just going to continue to build in from the Gulf. You have our dry line that's going to move farther east, and then that's going to just essentially produce a lot of sparking here over central Texas.
And it looks like we had certain areas last week that we thought we were going to get rain in that area, and then it started blowing a little bit more north and completely past them. Do you think that would happen in this week's storms?
Yeah, that's a great question. With the dry line, it's so hit and miss. I mean, it's pretty much popcorn at that point. It's like some here, some there. I think Monday night into Tuesday, a little more widespread, big picture. But then we're going to be getting some high pressure building come the late week. So if we're going to get rain, y'all, it's going to be before Wednesday. You'll notice the rain chances go from 60% on Monday, 80% on Tuesday, and then you'll see, of course, Wednesday, Thursday into Friday, all of a sudden, now we have a bit of a dry stretch there that continues into next week.
Those 80s.
Those 80s. Overnight lows in the 60s. This was great this morning. I don't know if you were able to.
Yeah, it felt great.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I arrived before the sun even came up, so it was even cooler.
Yeah, 40s. And I woke up, I stepped outside at like 8, 9 o'clock, and it was like 60, and I was a little bummed. I wish it was cooler because I don't think we're going to hit 50s and 40s anytime soon, especially across the next week. Tomorrow may be a bit cooler, but at least there's no 90s. We'll keep our normal highs 83. We'll stay normal. I don't mind staying normal temperature wise across the next few days. Just that big forecasting question is how much rain will fall. Honestly, truth be told, probably somewhere between an inch to 2 inches at most through the next 7 days. It's so hit and miss, but hopefully again Tuesday's a little more widespread. I want to see if I can pull something up. This is through the next 7 days. This is rainfall accumulation. It's a lot. I just want to go through the next 7 days to show you, looking at the big picture trend. So this is next Friday and Saturday.
Moving up for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if we can go next Sunday and we can recap this past week, and hopefully I can say 1 to 2 inches fell through the next 7 days here. Notice it's higher confidence that everyone gets some rain, whereas this past week it was so scattered for the most part. We'll have updates, and then of course at 5 o'clock in the next hour we'll have a little more of a personal forecast for you that's not necessarily as big picture. I will end with this. If you're traveling to the Midwest, Northeast, or you're traveling around Texas, it's going to be a little bit unsettled. If you're going north to Chicago, you're going to go west to LA and San Francisco, northwest, Seattle, Portland. I don't see any issues.
Yeah, and that's the beginning of the week. Once we hit the end of the week, those chances go down. Yeah,
and then of course the East Coast, that goes up because this blob that's over the Texas by Tuesday is eventually going to be over the East Coast by the end of the work week. So, May's busy. It's important to have severe weather alerts. KXAN First Warning Weather app, Instagram, we have tagged there too. So, I'm always posting weather graphics and things like that.
Yeah. I was going to say something and I completely forgot about it. Oh, tell us why it's so hard to see if we are going to get rain or if we're not. Why is it so hard to forecast that?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a few different kinds of setups that we track. The dry line is particularly probably the hardest because a dry line essentially separates moisture and dry air, and those aren't necessarily as widespread and linear. They're more popcorn. Let's see if I can pull up something here. Here's the typical setup for a dry line. So, in this instance, you have moist air from the Gulf, drier in the west, and a few of these storms could somehow, initiate more. Notice how it's not as widespread in a dry line, right? It's very slim pickings with severe weather setup. So the difference, obviously, between last week and this week is we're kind of going to be dealing more with the dry line on Monday and then more of a widespread event on Tuesday. Let's see if I can actually pull out a more localized view of the clouds and radar here for Tuesday and Wednesday, because it is important to show you how it's going to look more locally. So, of course, this is Sunday. This is now 4 p.m., walking you through big picture. 6, 7 a.m. tomorrow, you see a lot of the cloud cover returning. On and off light showers, nothing too crazy. Notice west of Austin toward the hill country there. If you see where St. Angelo is, those are the dry line storms. Notice how they're not as widespread. They're not taking up the entire state. They're just isolated. Those
more will in a straight line, right?
Yeah, right. Line. Yeah, those will move through and scatter off by Tuesday. But then watch this separate piece of energy come in Tuesday throughout the day, and see how that's a little bit more aerial in coverage. This one computer model is putting this a little bit farther into eastern Texas. But the bottom line is we're going to have multiple bursts of storms eventually move through the area. So, if we don't get anything on Monday, there's Monday night, and then hopefully
there's Tuesday, and then hopefully Wednesday.
Yeah, right. I mean, oh my gosh, yeah. Friday was an interesting situation because it's not like when nobody got rain. It just unfortunately didn't happen where everyone lives. So, we're hoping for the best again through the next few days. Darker green is higher confidence. So, Dallas and Houston may get some more than us, but we just need something at this point.
And Tommy, what do tall buildings do when it comes to storms and dismantling the storms that we're expecting to have?
Yeah. I mean, there's really not much of an actual rain dome situation. I spoke with a professor at UT who actually showed that the storms have trouble maintaining their strength, like little mesocyclones, through big city populations. But in this situation, for example, Friday, it's not like the buildings in Austin prevented the storms. It just so happened to be that's where the convection didn't initiate. So, Austin needs a lot of rain.
Yeah, Central Texas alone.
Hopefully our friends, if they get more rain around us, can share some in our area, because I've washed my car a few times and I need something from the sky. I'm tired of taking it in every week, I'll say that.
Last week, looking up at the sky all day, all night, it looked like it wanted to rain so bad, but it never did.
Yeah, we actually got this little quick thunderstorm last night at 2 a.m. I don't know if any of y'all watching recall that. I woke up at 2 a.m. and checked my phone. I'm like, there's no way. Yeah, there actually was a little brief thunderstorm for about 15 minutes at 2 a.m., but that was it. It's been dry for about 99% of the weekend.
Wow. Well, we've been talking about this app. Tell us a little bit more about the app and how you can kind of tailor it to be exactly what you want it to be and what you want it to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, we got a radar on there. We have a way to get severe weather alerts. You see pulling it up. Let's pull it up right now, and I'll show you all firsthand. I know it's kind of flipped and mirrored. We have our 7-day forecast here. We have hourly. We have the blog that we're officially talking about. And the difference between this and like an Apple app is I'm manually going through each hour in the Austin area and doing a specific forecast, whereas the Apple app takes a computer model that unfortunately isn't too consistent. So if you like the Apple app and you like using it more, then, that's your own choice. But I do think that it's important to have a bit of a human element too, to put some expertise toward that. There's 6 of us on the first warning weather team. We all have a different perspective. We're all going to forecast slightly differently, but, we come together and get it done and, try to keep you all informed and up to date, because our weather's constantly changing here in Texas.
Yeah, and the push alerts are so helpful. When we had that tornado on Thursday, I'm sure everyone in that area was getting their alerts and getting prepared.
Yeah, that was an EF1. That was crazy. I know we had our storm chaser Gabe that was out there. I was on radar for Bannon. I was jumping on the green screen too, just showing where the rotation was in a few different cells. And hail, 4, 5, 6 inch. Hail. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, obviously we wish we had more rain Friday in Austin, but also glad we didn't have hail. Yeah. We kind of want that in between where it's just rain, no hail.
Just enough rain, not too little.
It's hard to get here, but...
Well, we do have your article that you just wrote up. Mm-hmm. It's on our website, kxcn.com. What can you tell us about the article? What can we find in here? Yeah, so if you're confused what a omega block is still, don't worry. It's a confusing thing. I wrote a brief explanation on that, and I'm also doing another blog on that later on tonight, so we'll have 2 different perspectives there. A diagram to show you severe weather risk across the country, what to expect, and then, of course, this will be clipped there if you want to rewatch that. I know it's also on YouTube and Facebook, and, grateful to just kind of share something a little bit more outside of the 15 counties we watch. I know, big picture. I'm traveling in 2 weeks too, so, I'm also watching for how things are shaping up across the country. Yeah, I was just at the airport this morning, and it seems like everyone was traveling. Yeah. So come back, visit our website, kxn.com, to keep up with this week's forecast if you plan to travel or if you just plan to meet up with family or see how they're doing. Yeah, it's always a good thing. Well, thanks for joining us, Tommy. Yeah, thanks for having me. We'll see you next Sunday. Bye.